On their website, you can go in if you're going to travel, and you can tell them where you're going, and so they'll let the credit charges go through. But if you're not in any of those places, they won't. Underlining in writing, you only protect your rights if you send a letter. Your phone call is great, but you know you have to. It's got to be followed by in writing, or you know you call back on the 61st day because you have 60 days. And you call back on the 61st day and say, hey, I reported this and what happened. And they say we have no record of it. You're out of luck. Close all tampered accounts. I can assure you they're going to do that for you. And get a secondary card. Be inconvenienced for about a week. Third step, call Barney and Andy. I mentioned earlier, we don't usually deal with identity theft. They won't either. But this is basically to get everything else to happen, you have to have a police report. They're going to want to know the police department, the police report number. And as courtesy, every local police department will take that. So you got that information. You're all young. You're going to learn this over time. This is excellent advice on dealing with anybody, anywhere, or anything. Keep a log of who you called, when you called, and what they told you. Social Security. Keep a log. Because it's going to come back to haunt you at some point that you haven't gotten something written down. Get their name and information if you can. Ask for a supervisor if you need to. And the very last one, ask them to write down what their procedures are because everybody has nuances on reporting this kind of thing. This is, I think, is everybody on the back, inside back cover? Federal Trade Commission. They're the primary federal agency. This, the second one, the FBI's Internet Fraud Complaint Center, it's in West Virginia. All they are is a clearinghouse. What they'll do is, if, for example, they have a number of people that are victimized in an area, or the perpetrator is in one area, then they'll give that to us to go do something with. You know, a random person in Joplin, a random person in Springfield. We won't deal with 1,000 victims in Joplin. That changes things. And Social Security Administration, fraud hotline. This young lady knows all about them. Give them a call because they will protect you as well. She was mentioning earlier that for 2013, in January, February, when you file your taxes, you'll have a different number than your Social Security number. Is that what you said?
No, I'm going to have the same Social Security number, but IRS is going to send me a specific code that I need to post so they could identify that
So
it's
they
my
can
year.
identify her and that Social Security number is actually being her. So I see a hand somewhere? No? Okay. That's me. Any questions? Went through it pretty fast.
You did?
Did I answer what needed to be answered? If I didn't, please ask. Did I answer the full question?
That's it. Everybody getting the answer to the 4 pre-test question?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you on Dateline?
Well, I have to honestly and embarrassingly tell you that I was. However, most of what you would have seen on Dateline was my butt. And the reason I know that, because I didn't see it myself, is my mom called.
She said, I know that.
And she reported it and said, I just saw your butt on TV. So, yes, I was.
Okay.
So,
Tell me
very-
where's your butt?
Oh, okay, well then you didn't see me probably. I don't know what was on Dateline.
What was your
but,
butt doing on Dateline?
It was the Moss Fire, when it actually burned down. You know, every news agency came that day. And we were out on site, and the picture that my mom saw was, again, there may have been other video from other, most of the local stations do the video, and then Fox and CNN and everybody picked that up. So there could have been other videos she didn't see that was.
You were looking for evidence?
We were actually, it's kind of an interesting story, to a related topic if you don't mind.
Oh, that's fine.
July 4th, we've got the video of the guy throwing the burning blue jeans on the moss roof. Small fire, no real damage. August 6th, if you'll remember, the place burns to the ground. Starts at approximately the same time, 3:30 in the morning. The problem we have is the video that got the guy on July 4th got burned in the fire. And where the fire began on the second fire was roughly where the power comes into the building. So we don't know that the second one was an arson. We still don't know. But one of the things we were there to do, and spent the day doing it, I didn't know this at the time, but we had to clear the floor, it's concrete slab of course, and if that slab doesn't have burn marks on it, that means the fire started high. And the debris fell and protected the concrete. And so we got bulldozers and stuff in there and cleared the floor, and there's no burns on it, so we know it started high. It doesn't necessarily mean it was an arson. It still could have been electrical up high in the attic, but definitely started in the attic somewhere. So there we are.
Interesting,
After 25 years, I still learn things. It's kind of cool. Video still running?
Yeah.
That's okay. And this isn't something I can't say, but the day we were out there, fortunately, federal, state, local law enforcement, we all know each other. I mean, there's only so many of us. And the fire marshal was down here from Springfield. ATF was there, and 5 o'clock, we got the floor cleared off, been able to see what we needed to see. And we were walking off the scene, and it was a hot day. It was hot, humid day, miserable. And I said to Randy, I said, what's the cause of our fire? And he said, it's undetermined, and had July 4th not happened, we'd be off to the bar to have a cold beer. But because we had July 4th, we had to assume it was the worst through the night, that kind of thing. So I just thought that was kind of funny that we missed a cold beer because of July 4th. It happens. Any other questions? Yes?
So if we contact one of those like credit agencies or all three of them, like, do they give like a detailed list of like how many times it's been, like a credit check has happened?
I'm trying to think of how mine read. I want to say it only lists your credit cards, your addresses for a period of time, your balances. It doesn't give your month-to-month numbers.
Because like, I don't know, I'm not like paranoid, but I do know I read all the time about how subscription services are being hacked and information's being stolen. Like, I don't know if this is a great example, but I think a year ago, like Sony had their like 75 million accounts stolen with credit card information, and I have an account with them, and I immediately went and changed my credit card numbers and everything. My zip code's changed since then, so I guess it's fine. But at the same time, it's still like for that period of time, I don't know.
Well, that's what you would see on your credit report, for example. What you're looking for is, I've got a USA credit card. I've only got a couple. My wife's got 3 or 4. I know what we have, though. I know what the account numbers are. I know what the balances are. And you get one, and it's for Bass Pro Shops. I've never had a Bass Pro Shop card. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And you're going to see what you should see.
Yeah.
And you will also see things that aren't yours. You'll know they're not yours.
Yeah.
And that's when the red flag goes up.
How do you prove it wasn't you?
Well, by default, if you report it, they have to assume you're right. They'll investigate it, but they'll assume the minute you report it that what you're telling them is right. Okay, so.
But say somebody gets my account and because most accounts will let you overdraw by a certain amount, and someone does that, what happens then? I'm still just out of luck until they fix it?
Well, it depends on who you're dealing with. My bank, let's say for example, I've got a $1,000 transaction on our credit card that's not mine. I call and report it today. That was not me. They will give the $1,000 back to me immediately. Okay. Now, I had one, and it wasn't a lot of money. It was less than $100. That I get my statements. I look at my bank account almost every day. I see this. I report it. This is not mine. This is not a charge I made. They immediately give me the money back. A couple days later, embarrassingly, it was mine. It was mine. I did do that.
Absolutely.
And I had to call them back and fall on the sword and say, I'm an idiot. I did do that. And it was no big deal. They obviously took the $75 back. But what they would have processed, they would have gone through. I had, when we when we moved here and I got my first credit report, the first time I'd done it was about a year ago. I had, I think it was US Bank, had that I owed several $1,000s on. And I questioned that. You know, I replied, it's all electronic. You do an email saying the charge from US Bank that claims it was like 8 years before, it was really old. I said, that's not mine. And it was about 2 days, and I got an email back from them, and they had removed that from my credit report.
Yeah, check it again in a year, it'll be back.
And it could be, it could be.
Mine keep coming back.
It's
I'm
time
like,
for me to
"Not
redo
me."
it. But at least for that moment in time, you know, and they didn't even argue with me, really. I didn't have to prove anything.
We dropped our debit card, like accidentally, like when we were leaving somewhere, and within, like, I didn't realize it till the next morning, and from like midnight until 8 a.m. they completely used every dollar that we had, plus overdrawn it as much as they would allow it. But we call them, like, they have to wait till a hard post, like all those transactions hard post, and then they give it back to you and send you like this 10-page like stuff to fill out saying
Yeah.
that you didn't do
You
it.
notarize it, it's not you.
Yeah, you get it notarized and sent
Now-
back, and then it's.
Now, one thing I'll throw out just as it's a curious federal law. Your credit card protects you within a 100 or 150 mile radius of your home. So you go to DC and you use your charge card and somebody else uses your charge card. They do not have to reimburse you for that. They will. They don't have
I was
to.
gonna say they usually do,
Yeah, but they
What
don't
if
have
you
to.
tell them you're gonna do that?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask, so does a service like PayPal, is that really beneficial to use over your regular credit cards? Because from what I understand, they basically, like, they have like your information, your finances and stuff,
Mhm.
but when you go and purchase something or work with a seller or whatever, they don't ever see your actual credit card information. So I was wondering in the instance of like those card swipers, you can get like a PayPal
Mhm.
card, and it's kind of, they act like a middleman, I guess,
Mhm.
to kind of
Yes, they do.
protect you in
Right.
that sense. But do they really, is it really?
They are, from what I can see, they are a very legitimate company, and they do offer a service that may be useful to you. They don't offer me anything that my credit cards don't do, so I don't need it. But, you know, certainly on eBay, it's a great protection. My particular credit card also has an option. I've never done it because it's a pain, you know what? But you can actually go on and say, you go to a store and you're gonna buy, you decide you're gonna buy something. And you're at the point where you enter the credit card number. I can go to USAA and say, I want to buy this item for this much money from this vendor. And they will give me, I don't even know what the amount of numbers is, but it's a number that's not my credit card number. And it's only good for that one transaction. And you put that in there as your credit card number and it'll go through. Now, that obviously is a great protection. It's also a pain to do. And that's why nobody does it. But, you know, that may be where we end up at some point.
Yeah, because eventually, most everything will be electronic. How are they gonna?
There's an idea, something that I got. It's called a surf card and it's free. And they'll issue it to you and then you put from your bank account electronically however much money you want to spend. So when you go to buy something online, you just use this. And there's only
Mhm.
enough money in there for that one transaction or however many transactions
Yep.
you're gonna do. That way, if they get the number, they don't get your bank account number. You don't have to
And
worry
they
about
don't get
your
any money other
thousands,
than
right?
whatever you.
They're gonna get whatever's on the card at the time, and you
Yeah.
keep nothing on here
What is
except
that
for
called?
serve.
Yeah. Who's that? Is that Empire?
Is there a fee to that?
I mean, you can get cards like that at Walmart.
Yeah,
It
Walmart's
doesn't
now.
even say that on there, it just says serve service user agreement, it's called serve, but it
I
doesn't
did
say,
see
nobody is trying
Walmart
anything
in the
on
past
it.
month or two, Bluebird, I believe they call it. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Same thing, right.
Yeah.
Is there a fee to that?
No, it's free.
Walmart's ones that have fees though.
I don't think the Bluebird does. I saw their display a couple days ago and I thought it said no fees, no annual fees, no user fees or something.
They make their money because a lot of people will put money on here thinking they're gonna go
Forget about
spend
it,
it and
yeah.
forget about it,
Yeah.
and they take interest off of here. They make interest off your money, but if you don't leave anything in there, they don't make anything. And the other thing I'm gonna say is if you ever plan to travel outside the United States for any time and you wanna use a credit card, A, use one of these, and B, if you're not going to, make sure you tell your bank or your credit card companies ahead of time that you're traveling, or they will not allow your transactions. And you cannot call them from Canada and say, hey, I'm legitimately moving, I've got a passport, blah, 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 and they'll say, I don't care, we're not gonna allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin, we went to Mexico, in the summertime, and my cousin used her used her debit card down there, and they took more than what they said. Luckily, they refunded everything back, and, you know, she still got whatever she bought from there when we got back to the States, but, yeah.
Horror stories abound, there's no doubt
It's
about
full
it.
of cash.
Well, they also have the exchange rate, and if you use your credit card, most credit cards now will charge you a fee for translating Canadian dollars into US dollars and paying, and you actually pay more when you do that, not only because they charge you more if you're gonna use US money versus Canadian money, but then your bank also charges you about the same amount of money, so you're paying double that. So if you're gonna go, just get the local currency and figure it out.
Yeah.
Learn the lesson.
And my wife and I have, as I mentioned earlier, I used to carry a couple of credit cards. She has 3 or 4. And the reason we do it that way is there are certain transactions that we only will use one card for. We pay bills with one card. So if that gets compromised, we still have a card that works, and we have the protection of the credit card that we built up to that point. And that way there's no confusion either, you know, you just, like the $75 charge I had that I legitimately did, you know, and I've not been a dumb you know what, that would have happened, so.
So you said if I find a transaction that's on my credit card and I call them and say that's not mine, they are bound to believe me.
Yes, they by default will believe you.
By default will believe me. So my evil conscious mind is sitting here thinking I could make a big transaction myself, then call and tell them it wasn't myself.
No, they won't do that.
You-
I tried that.
You can do that. Herein lies the problem. They still have you because they still have your account. And so they figure out it was either a legitimate charge or a fraudulent charge by you. They've still got your account. And they will get their money. They will get their
And
money.
don't forget, usually when you're using your card, you have to sign that receipt, and they get those. Because I had one, I argued over a $25 charge, and finally they sent me a photocopy of the receipt, and that was my signature, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm an idiot, I'm really sorry, but it, you know, months later.
Yeah.
But
No,
they'll do that.
they'll get all that.
They'll do it.
But there's places, like I was at the mall one day and I went to the pretzel place. Okay, I remember going to the pretzel place, but I didn't remember that the House of Bounce owns the pretzel place, and my credit card ran through as the House of Bounce. I was like, I'm not 4 years old, I didn't go to the House of Bounce and charge my card there. That's what, you know, so there's things like that you're gonna
There are.
charge your
In
card.
fact,
and
you go
it's, you
to
know.
eBay is very good about this. They will tell you at the end what your charge is going to look like, who it's going to be from. 'Cause you bought it from Bill's Antiques, but the charge is Ethel's Used Cars. Well, at least you know that's the same transaction. Yes?
I was gonna ask, why necessarily would a waiter have to have a card scanner if they could just go on your receipt and write in a fake number?
Well, they could, but
I mean, they wouldn't get as much, but.
you've still got, you're not going to get, all you're going to get is a credit card number to begin with. If they use a card scanner, here's the difference. If I have a card scanner, I now know your name, your social security number, your zip code, your date of birth.
Put it on the back of the card even?
It's on the magnetic strip.
Oh,
And so what can I do with that versus a credit card number? I call up Sears. I call up Home Depot. I open up charge accounts everywhere I go. Because I've got everything I need versus just a credit card number, which now I have to tie it to something. I have to have an address. I have to have a social security number. I have to have a name.
There was somebody at Bella Peppers, when Bella Peppers used to be here in Joplin, like the restaurant that was doing that, like thousands and thousands of dollars with people's credit cards, like a
Well,
waiter.
so they
Well, I
said they
just-
just caught someone at, what's that, right above the mall right there, that Roadhouse, what was the name?
Logan's.
Logan's, they said they had a waitress just get fired there
I
for
think
coughing.
Bella Peppers actually ended up going out of business almost because of that, because they had so many thousands of dollars worth of compromised credit
Yeah.
cards.
Because again, the same thing happens as we talked about for you. You know, the business gets the money, but that doesn't prevent the credit card company from pulling the money back from that bank account, so. Anything else?
My wife has been worried about this, the card you get, the key card when you go to a hotel,
Uh-huh.
it's got the magnetic strip,
Uh-huh.
does it have information on it?
It has,
I've heard both ways.
it's supposed to not have much information about you. It's supposed to have your name and room number only. But I can't guarantee that.
She cuts them all up before we walk out of the
Does she?
hotel.
I bring them all home.
Yeah.
we use them as
Oh, I thought you were
souvenirs, but,
supposed to turn those back in.
I'm sorry?
Charge it for them?
Those right
I've never
now,
been
you
charged
know,
for
They cost a penny to make, or nothing.
They're making enough on me in that.
Yeah, they don't care.
So-
In fact, they don't even know that you didn't turn them in, they have no way of knowing that, because they erase them before they, when you throw them in the box on the way out, they just go in and erase them. They don't look
They
at what's on them.
deactivate after like.
Yeah, and they're right, they're
amount.
time dated.
If a magnet even touches it, it'll shut off. It
Yeah,
won't even
every
work.
time I get one, inevitably, I
Yeah.
have to go get
If you put it
another
in your
one
coin
because
purse
it-
with money, it
That's
won't
Or your
what I
work.
cell
do.
phone.
Yeah.
Your phone.
Or your
I
phone.
always, the one thing I never go
Radiation
without is my
therapy.
phone. So I
Cancer.
put it
You
with
put
my
the
phone.
two with phone in bed.
Yeah. In fact,
So instead, I just run mine over the phone and leave it on the
I
counter.
don't know if you
when
can
I go.
see it, this is a card for getting into the Joplin PD. It's the thicker one, it's thicker than a credit card. It's got a
Yeah, I
magnet
have one
in
of
it.
those for work.
If you put that next to a credit card, it'll erase that magnetic strip.
This one?
No, his card.
If you put
Well,
his
it's the
card
same.
next to
It's,
your
it's
credit
essentially
card.
the same thing.
Yeah, ADT, yeah, it should be. Yep. You can erase it with a credit card if it touches it.
Yeah,
careful.
I had one when I worked for.
That could be kind of.
Any other
prosecutor's
questions?
office.
You guys will do the post test real quickly while you're doing that. Can I give him a hand?
Did you have to? I wanted to